Hello and welcome back to the Aaron Cruz Show. We have a very special guest on with us right now. Her name is Angie Morfin Vargas. She is an angel mom. Uh, Her son, Ruben, 13 years old, was brutally killed by an individual who, well, we'll let Angie tell the story. Angie, welcome to the Aaron Cruz Show. Thank you for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what happened to your family.
Um, on December 29th, I got the call that no mom ever wants to receive. I got the call that my 13-year-old son had just been shot and that I need to get to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, they wouldn't let me see him. They said anybody but the mother could go in to identify him. That they had a little boy between, you see, I was praying that it wasn't my son because they kept saying it was a little boy between 16 and 18. And I knew that couldn't be my baby.
Right.
And, but they needed somebody else to come. I ended up calling one of Ruben's uncles from King City. And he came, and he was the first one to actually go in and identify Ruben.
Oh.
And when he came out, he was crying and he was trembling, and he told me not to go in, just to remember Ruben the way he was. And then my husband got to go in, which my husband was his stepfather, but he helped me raise Ruben when I met my husband when Ruben was 2 months old.
Oh wow! So he was his father. He was his father.
His father had already died.
Right.
Years before Ruben. They're buried together, actually, in King City.
Mm.
But my husband went in, and then he came out crying, and he told me not to go in. But I couldn't just not go in. This was my baby they were talking about. The doctor came up to me finally, and he said, he asked me, did Ruben have any enemies? And I said, oh no, Ruben didn't have any enemies because everybody loved him. He was so funny. He was a funny kid. He would make you laugh. He goes, well, it's like they grabbed him from the shoulder and shot him in the back of the head, point blank.
Brutal.
From that moment,
Just
so
so brutal.
I think I froze. Because I didn't want him to suffer. And that's the first thing I asked the doctor. Did he suffer? He said no. That when he got shot, he went into sleep mode. So he didn't feel it. But they were going to clean him up and let me go see him because they didn't believe that he would live through the night. But if he did live through the night, that he would be a vegetable for the rest of his life. So I got to go in. As I was walking towards where they had him, the room, his friends that knew him and loved him were already standing outside the door waiting for me to go in.
Oh wow.
Yeah. As I walked in, I could see my baby on the table, and he had tubes everywhere, and he had a bandage all over his head. I could see the blood. They told me as I walked closer to my baby that he was still going to have to take him off the machine because that was the only thing keeping him alive, and he was already dying. Ruben had, where they shot him, I guess the bullet lodged in there, and it was his eye. His left eye was almost hanging out. I asked the doctor if I could give him goodbye before he cut it off. And they let me. And I could see a little teardrop fall out of his good eye. And they turned it off. I think I walked in a daze for a long time. It was hard. I still had to go home and tell my mother. Because I sat there with Ruben. And I know
Oh, jeez. Oh,
And
wow.
I told them that I kept telling them no and no and no, but they just kept insisting that I donated parts, and I said no. So I sat there with my baby until the mortuary picked him up. I just didn't want them to hurt him anymore.
Right. Right.
But I had to go home and tell my mother.
No.
And I hadn't told my mother anything yet. I hadn't called her to let her know what happened to him. Because she helped me raise him, and between both of us, we took care of him. And if he wasn't at her house, he was at my house, and that's the way it was. And I didn't know what I was going to tell my mom when I got there. But when I got there, she had already found out. She was crazy. She was like a crazy wild woman, hitting her head against the wall and on the ground and pulling her hair and screaming like a wild woman. It was a long weekend because it was the holidays. It was, right after Christmas and right before New Year's, and they almost took a week to give me the body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when I finally got to see my baby, you know, well, when I was in the hospital, I did ask the doctor because I wasn't sure. This little boy looked, he was so swollen. I just wanted to make sure he was my baby, because I knew every cut he had, every scar he had, everything about him. I asked if I could pull up the covers so I could see if he was really mine. And as soon as I seen his little fingers, I knew he was my baby. Because he chewed his nails. That was tough. That was really tough on me. I finally got home, and like I tell you, my mom was going crazy. It was such a long weekend. And when I finally got to see my baby, that was my baby in that coffin. He wasn't swollen anymore. He wasn't swollen. He was just my little boy there, like he was asleep. I wanted to go with him so bad. I would beg you, Lord, to take me. Please take me, because I just couldn't bear thinking of living without him. But I had two other children at the time, which is my daughter Esther, and she was 7 when he died, and my son Fernando was 3.
So very young, very, very young.
They were babies. They were all babies, yeah. And Esther took it hard. I can tell you, Esther was very close to him because that's one thing Ruben loved. He loved children. Like nobody hurting children. He loved his siblings so much. And every picture I have is him hugging Esther. And he loved her so much. And
big brother.
But
big brother.
When I had to tell Esther about Ruben, she took it hard. And I can tell you right now, she's 35 years old, and she can still cry for him like she did yesterday. We do. We both do. Because it's hard to believe that anybody could hurt a little boy like that and not even care.
So brutally.
Yeah, brutally. It was brutal. But,
so
the kids in Salinas, they were scared. Everybody was scared because in those days, drive-by shootings were like very starting to happen, and people would still walk in the street without being scared.
Right.
But when Ruben died,
it's 30 years ago, right? It's about 30 years ago.
It's going to be 29. It'll be 29 in December.
Okay,
yeah. So, back then it was easy for the kids, walk.
Life was a lot better and a lot easier, right? I mean, I played outside as a child.
It's like everybody was scared. Everybody was scared to even do anything. But things started getting worse and worse here in Salinas.
So.
Well, it took a whole year before I actually found out who did it. And they didn't even call me. I just seen it on the news. It's like,
oh my gosh, they didn't even let you know?
No, they didn't let had a suspect for Ruben's death, and his name was Ezekiel Mariscal.
Mm.
And all they said it was that he was from Huntington Park. He was here, Selena visiting family for the holidays when he decided to do a killing. It was just my baby in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, I just can't imagine to see that, to hear this news on the television. It just seems so irresponsible of the authorities to not let you know they had a suspect. So now, what happened after that? Was he then he went from being a suspect to they end up trying him for murder? I mean, what transpired after that? Did you become involved?
After that, at this point, I still didn't know that he was actually an illegal. All I knew is that he was a known gang member, and that they called him Boxer.
Mm.
They called him Boxer, and his brother they called him Little Boxer,
Mm.
and they were from Huntington Park. I didn't know nothing at all until I would say 3 years later. After that, they got word. Well, one of the detectives on Ruben's case, he was the first one to arrive on the scene,
Mm-hmm.
his name was Leonard Wilson, and he told me that seeing Ruben on the street like that, it just blew his mind, and he had to do something about it. So he
Praise the Lord, he really felt the drive,
yes,
you know?
yes. He actually wrote a letter to America's Most Wanted, and they made fun of him. They told him that it wasn't even worth doing because they were never going to come, that the story wasn't good enough, that he was determined, even if they were laughing at him, and he sent it off. And I got a call from one of the reporters, Donna Branch, and she came to Salinas, and they reenacted the crime. And that's when I got to meet Leonard Wilson. He came up to me and introduced himself, and he told me that he was the detective on the scene, and he couldn't sleep just thinking about what had happened to Ruben, and that he was glad that they were finally going to do something.
I mean, I have tears in my eyes thinking about, we hear a lot of anti-police, rhetoric and things, and there are men just like this police officer, this detective out there fighting to find solutions, find, these criminals, and they
Yeah.
can't sleep because of what they've seen, and they don't want it ever to happen again, and they're advocating for people like you, moms who can't ever get your son back, and for him to care enough like that, it's just so touching, because we forget the human element of the people that work on these senseless crimes every single day, and how easy it might be to give up,
Yeah.
needle in the haystack. But the fact that he knew that this was your son, that Ruben was your baby there, and he wouldn't let it go.
What got me more is that he told me, and I didn't know this is almost 4 years later,
Right.
that they actually stopped Mariscal 2 hours before he killed Ruben. They were already watching him.
Mm.
They were right behind him. I guess it upset me because, they should have not let him go. If they already had him, if they would have not let him go, my baby would still be alive. Well, this kid actually, after he killed Ruben, he started running back and forth from LA to Nevada to Mexico. His family actually was escorted and moved to Nevada for their own protection. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
For their own protection. So they were all moved to Nevada.
Oh my gosh.
And the only reason they knew he was coming back was because the brother, the little boxer, he committed a murder in Nevada.
Oh my
and
goodness.
they knew that boxer was coming back and forth. trying to get to his brother. I guess he was trying to take him back to Mexico or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so they finally aired America's Most Wanted, and it's some people say it wasn't America's Most Wanted that broke it, but I think it was because that's when they got more word that
right.
folks calling in and saying where he was, and
really starting to make action on the case.
yeah, well, and oh my God, my brain of thought just took off.
No, it's okay. You were talking about how this gentleman, this not even gentleman, this murderer was going to and from Nevada, and America Most Wanted had put out their story.
That's when the detectives here found out more or less where he was. They went to San Diego. They went to the Foreign Prosecution Unit that was in San Diego. I don't know if it's still there because they never answered the phone. But they're the ones that actually went into Mexico, put the warrant for his arrest, and he was apprehended on July 13th, 1994, the same year America's Most Wanted came up. Because America's Most Wanted aired on February the 5th, 94.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why I always give credit to America's Most Wanted, because it had to have been them.
Right. Getting out the word, so important. So now, what then? What happened after that? I mean, in terms of him sitting trial, and you mentioned he served time in Mexico.
Yes, he actually he was sentenced to 20 years without any parole. But I don't, like I say, I don't know if, because everybody kept telling me, I wanted him extradited over here, and they kept telling me no. The cops, the detectives, everybody just told me to leave him in Mexico, that it would be hard labor in Mexico, and here he would still have to go through the court process, and he might even walk because nobody was going to testify against him.
That's just horrific? That's just horrific. It's horrific.
Yeah.
It's just horrific. It's beyond words. I can't say anything else. It just makes me think, our justice system is that frail that it can't stand to ensure that murderers actually serve their time and that justice would be served. And Mexico could do a better job. Insanity, just flat out insanity. So it's tragic. It's tragic that that's the reality. So now he served 20 years in Mexico for the death of the murder and the death of your son, Ruben. And we talked in the pre-interview about the fact that you're not sure you believe that he still is in Mexico.
No, I don't believe. I think he could be here because
he could be here.
It's so easy for them to go and come back or commit a crime and go to another city, just change their names, and that's it. And here in California, they're not even checking that anymore. They don't even care.
And you tried to follow up on this, correct? You followed up with San Diego to tell us about that, because this is people are losing track of the fact that this, and because the media is not reporting and the media is not doing their jobs to get people the information they need. People don't understand that your son was murdered. He served time in Mexico. You don't even know where that murderer is at, if he's here in the United States or not, and that you can't get answers.
I can't. I tell you, I called ICE and they told me that there was nothing they could do because they already checked the records. He hasn't been caught, so they don't know if he could be here or not.
And then you called San Diego.
And they don't answer their phones.
Right. And what department was that you called?
The Foreign Prosecution Unit.
Right. So, for me as a mom, my kids are grown, but for me as a mom, just thinking about the horrors of you wondering if this man is around, that to me is just unsettling, and that you can't get any answers from authorities on, whether or not they think it's a risk that he could be here in the United States. It's it's maddening.
Yeah.
It's maddening. So now you've really been on this fight and battlefront in terms of illegal aliens and our border wall, and you went to see the president of the United States, Donald Trump. Uh, Tell us a little bit about that because you know we heard your story right now. It's so heartbreaking, but you're fighting. You're fighting for other families.
This has been a very hard fight from the beginning when I first found out that he was illegal. It's like nobody wants to hear it. I've gone to Washington and testified before Congress. And that lady from Texas, Jackson Lee, Sheila
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Lee, she
Mm-hmm.
kept getting up and calling him, telling us that we were lying and calling us racist. And she would get up and go use the phone and then come back and she wouldn't tolerate racism in her room. And it was like she treated us like crap.
It's not
I mean,
about race. It has to do with legal and illegal. Has to do
yeah.
with citizens
I
of the
remember
United
one of the
States.
times that I went to go talk to our congressmen, our senators. I took one of Ruben's pictures, and they refused to let me in the building with his picture. This last time I went, I was amazed that they actually let people carry pictures in there. But that when I went in the '90s, they wouldn't even let Ruben's picture inside the hallway.
Yeah, it's just shameful. It's just shameful. It's disgusting. It's absolutely just disgusting. I have I'll tell you I have right here on the screen, cuz we're talking over the phone, and I have a picture of you and your beautiful son there side by side, and it just why wouldn't you want to see faces of the beautiful children that we've lost? And why? Because you want to protect those who are criminals. You want to protect your status quo. These politicians want nothing more than to stay in power and
Yes.
keep their money, power, and control. And it just it's heartbreaking. But we can't let them to continue to bully the citizenry that you and your son are right here, right in the forefront of the fight to protect our
We've been here.
families. Yes,
We've been here for a long time
fighting.
fighting the force.
And you know what? And you've been up there talking to President Donald Trump, and I'm just you're such a brave woman. You have
Thank
so
you.
much courage, and you're a voice that needs to be heard loud and clear across
Erin,
America.
um, I live in Monterey County, very liberal county.
Hmm.
Uh, they don't even, the media, they won't even look at me. They treat me like poison. They all do. It, lately, I've been talking to like you, and I got interviewed a couple of days ago by Frank George at another
Right,
radio station, and
right,
I've got other people that are conservative that actually talk to me from out of Salinas, Monterey County.
right.
These people treat me like I'm poisoned.
Well, you're not poisoned. You know what? You're a mother who is speaking out about a real issue, and you're not alone. As we've seen, many of the angel moms on the media and on the news, up and talking with President Donald Trump, the Rose Garden. It's a I'm hoping many, many more. I hope that there's never another mother that's impacted. But what I'd like to see is if there are parents out there whose lives have been impacted in the past by illegal aliens, and you've lost children, especially mothers, to contact the Angel Moms and get involved in the fight for the future of our country. Because we have to stand together. We don't need to lose one more child to senseless crimes committed by people who don't even have the right to be here in our country. Um, it has to stop. So I want to ask you a question. I know it sounds light, but where do you stand on the border wall issue and the push of President Donald Trump to get that wall built?
I can't believe how these people are fighting to protect us. They don't want to protect us. It's like, oh my God.
Your grandchildren.
I'm scared for them. I'm
Yeah.
scared for their life. And for my older kids, it's like their future. It's like, why do they have to compete with people that are here in the country illegally? They shouldn't have to. This is their country. This is where they were born. I want to see the America that I grew up in, not the one that the Democrat liberals are making it into.
Right.
You know? Everything is so backwards nowadays.
Right.
People have more rights than we do.
And that is very evident. That's really quite evident. You know, I was seeing that President Donald Trump is getting a lot of pushback on the wall from the Democrats, but in fact, President Barack Obama, when he was in the Senate in Illinois, actually voted in favor of building a wall. In fact, when President Barack Obama was a president of the United States, he funded $1 billion or more to put National Guard on our border in a national emergency situation. So what I'm seeing is a mass movement for globalism, open borders, and something that stands against what even the Democrats of old or even the progressives of old were okay with at one time. And I believe it's all because actually the work will get done. In the past, the border wall has been funded, but the work never got done. So, you know, in many cases, I know parts of it have gotten done, but not what we've actually funded. So, you know, there's a real big issue going on right now. And again, I don't think it has much to do with anything but money, power, and control. And unfortunately, the people who are losing are the regular people like me and you, Angie.
Yes, because this is what I told them when I went to Washington last week. These people are put into our communities. Our communities, not theirs. Ours. They don't know what we're going through, what we're being cheated out of, and the competition on everything, you know, all levels of everything in life.
Right.
We have to compete with these people that don't even have a right to be here in the first place.
Right. Right. And the senseless crimes they're committing. Because, you know, I'm not saying that everybody who's here, you know, some individuals, children who've been brought here by other people, and they're still here. I'm not saying that those are not necessarily bad people, but there are people who have come here illegally. They've broken the law to get here. They're here. If they'll do that, if they'll break the law to get here, what else will they do? What else will they do? And that's my concern. And the breakdown of the American family and the communities that are impacted and all the costs associated with illegal immigration. It's a concern. It's safety. So,
can I just say something real quick about my president? I love my president.
Oh, I will. Hey, let's talk about something great. I love that. Say that again. Say that again. I love my president.
I love my president.
I love my president.
When he first came out and said all those things that he did about, you know, Mexico City and its worst, I jumped out of my chair because he's the first man to have the guts to say it. And,
yes.
Everybody, you know, my friends, people I know, they all will say it, but they're too scared to say it out loud, you know?
Right.
And when he said it, I wish I could have found a way just to go and tell him, but then I heard Mr. Shaw from L.A. said it on his radio station that he supported Donald Trump,
right,
the president, because of his son. And I was so thankful that Mr. Shaw had the guts and the radio station to say it.
Right.
You know, when Mr. Shaw had Donald Trump, the candidate, show up in L.A., I was called to show up. Because I live, 4 or 5 hours from L.A.?
Right.
I couldn't do it, so I begged my sister who lives in Santa Ana, Orange County, if she would go and represent my family. She had just gotten out of the hospital, and she actually got up and went to represent my family. Yes. And about last week, I finally found pictures that prove that she actually met Donald Trump, and she has pictures. That's one thing I just barely got my first picture. Well, I haven't got it yet, but I'll get it. And it's with a group. She has a picture by herself with Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh, that lucky woman.
Yeah. Yeah, we were
Wow.
behind him 100% all the time while he was running. He actually stood in Costa Mesa, and you'll either find the picture online. Um, he was in Costa Mesa, and he brought up the angel families, and somebody walked up to the stage with my son Ruben's banner, and Ruben's banner is right behind Donald Trump, and there's a picture of it. Yes. And the
Wow.
next week, I went to Anaheim, and that's where I got to meet the candidate, Donald Trump.
Wow.
He held my hand, and he told me he was sorry about my son, and everything was going to be okay. And
It will be. It will be.
I still believe him. He's done more than anybody else has done to bring this to the forefront.
Yes.
I don't care what they say that he lied. He didn't lie. Politicians are politicians, and Mr. Trump is trying his best. There's just too much swamp.
Right. I agree with that. He's been blocked every chance that they can block him, and you know, we have to support our president, and we need to be loud and very clear about what we want.
That's all. He's done a lot more than anybody else on the immigration issue, and I still believe that he's going to do something.
Well, I'm pushing for it. I know you're pushing for it. Many Americans right now, they're talking about it. They need to keep pushing it at Congress. You know, too long has Congress been kicking the immigration can, the national security can, all of these cans. You know what? It's about time we start doing and taking action for the American people, and that's what President Donald Trump is trying to do. We need to make sure and support him for 2020 so he can finish the job that he's been set out and set forth to do. And it's people like you who are able to get on the airwaves and share your story, which are gonna, you know, that's gonna make impact with real people, because your situation is not a racial issue, it's not a Democrat Republican issue, it's a right and wrong issue. It's something where parents can relate, especially parents who have lived near gang communities, people from the inner cities. They better be waking up because the stuff is spreading. It's not just in the inner cities anymore. It's in rural areas. Gangs are spreading like wildfire. Here in Coachella Valley, where I live, gangs are rampant. They're rampant, and they don't want to. People don't talk about it, but they're here. They're here. As a matter of fact, we had a martial arts instructor, one of the premier martial arts instructors of our day. He was attacked and murdered. And to murder this man it must have taken many people. I don't doubt it wasn't gangs. They're still looking for the killers. You know, it doesn't have to be a child. And there are evil people out there, and we need to continue to fight and get rid of the illegal aliens that are here.
One of the things that I'd like to, talk on your show right now.
Yes.
We have, here in Monterey County, we have a lot of unsolved cases, cold
cases.
A lot.
I would love to talk about that, yes.
To me, it's like they have to be illegal.
I mean, how else?
How is it that you can't find a murderer or any traces of them? Mm-hmm. Because all these people come, they commit a crime, they move to another city, change their name. It's that easy. Mm-hmm. They go back to Mexico, wait a while before it calm down. They can come back and go to another state, another city. And who's going to know what they did?
Right. I mean, there's no other, I don't know.
A lot of cold cases. I have so many mothers here in Monterey County that don't even know who killed their children. Oh. And nobody's even investigating.
Well, you know what? Have you thought, I think we need to talk, and this is a real conversation right here, because I just spoke to another gal, not an angel mom, somebody else who was telling me about a crime that happened up in Trinity County, that there's corruption going on and the police aren't even looking at it or investigating them. And there's a serious problem in America when we cannot get our law enforcement to take seriously some of the issues that are going on right now. And I'm not saying that all law enforcement is bad, but when they start turning cheeks at some of these things, you have to wonder why.
Yes, you have to wonder why.
So
I always tell everybody, it's all about the money.
Mm.
It's all about the money. It's like, do they really want to solve the cases? Do they really want to stop the violence? I mean, it's more money in their pocket because all you have to do is say, oh, well, we have a bad problem and send us money, send us money. And
Budgets.
nothing is being done. Nothing is being
Budgets.
done.
But you know, we see that like in your particular case, you had this guy who this detective who wouldn't let go. You know, there are good detectives and many good detectives and police officers who care, and it's not just a job for them. They're in it
Yeah.
for a reason. This is their calling, and you know, I just would like to see that in like in your case with Monterey County that these cases would be taken seriously, that the real resources would be put there because you don't know there could be human trafficking rings, there could be drug rings, there could gang related issues that are tied to illegals. Then this is why they're not finding them. I mean, what is the solution? You know, one of them is to make sure that we get the wall right, and
Yes.
to enforce immigration.
You mean at the beginning? And everybody says, well, you know, the wall's not going to work because they can
Walls
go under
work.
it too. I go, yes, they can, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning to something. And from there, let's start doing the enforcement inside. They commit crimes, deport them. We don't need them here. We have our own problems here. Yeah.
Interior enforcement, all of it, you know.
Yeah,
you got to start somewhere.
Not just the wall. Not just the wall. I mean, these people get freebies. They get a lot of freebies that I have to work and work and work, and I don't qualify for anything, and neither do my children.
Yes.
And all they have to say is they're migrants. Oh my God, they're migrants. They get everything double. You know?
Yes, we need to stop giving out the freebies. I agree with you wholeheartedly. There,
you know,
100%.
I've seen it with my own children. You know, in the school system where if you're not a migrant worker, well, you don't really qualify for anything. They're the ones that used to qualify for just the field trips and all the freebies and take them here, take them there, and it's like our kids. If you don't work in the field, too bad for you. Yeah, to me that's reverse discrimination.
Oh, yeah, it's really a difficult thing. So now back to the other issue that you brought up, which I think we should talk about a little bit. You say that a lot of parents have unsolved cases surrounding child deaths. Are these individuals who might live near gangs, or are they just, is this like a, I mean, is missing persons, or are these actual children who are victims, you know, of brutal crimes?
I would say that half of them would be innocent. Because I know a few ladies that will tell you that their kids were innocent or whatever, but, you know, you can tell by the way they dressed or the way they acted that they weren't that innocent, you know?
Right. They could be involved in gangs or something, right?
Yeah. But I would say that a lot of, like, we did have one shooting. It was a shooting of North and South, which here in Monterey County, believe it or not, South would be Mexican born, and North would be American born, and those are the ones that are shooting each other off. Yeah. So it's really weird. Here, being in Monterey County, where it's supposed to be the agriculture of the world, you know, the land of capital of the world.
Right.
That's our problem here. You know, they cater more to the farm workers than to the kids that are actually born here.
Right. Well, you know what? I believe in citizens first, America first, and we need to put our own families first. We have a lot of issues here, and especially in California, that need resolved. And you know, it's something that I understand. We need workers and all of that, but we have to deal with the illegal immigrant. I don't even like, not even illegal immigrant, illegal alien issue. Start cracking down on the crimes and really making impact at the drug related, gang related situations in some of these areas, because it is impacting our citizens and our communities. And You can't just kick it aside because it seems to be, like I said earlier, spreading. Uh, and it's costing us a lot of money, um, as a state and as a nation, and
Yes.
and and more than the money that it's costing us innocent lives, like your
And this is
son.
my, well, that's what I was going to tell you about. That's why I went to the north and the south because there was a shooting by a park. It was actually a small little park in a small area community. And the north and the south were fighting each other in the park. And one of the bullets went through one of the apartment complexes. And a 6-year-old little boy was hit in the heart.
Oh,
It went through the wall. Yeah.
wow.
Well, it turned out that the guy that actually did the shooting, that owned the gun that killed the little boy, was actually an illegal.
Just terrible.
Yeah,
Just terrible.
yeah. That was sad. Yeah, that was really really sad
I
for
mean,
a
it's
little
sad. It's
6-year-old.
sad that this baby had to lose their life over gang
Yes,
issues. Really, really sad. Well, you know, hopefully with President Donald Trump, I want to take this up a notch. President Donald Trump taking action and putting national security first as a top priority, which is his job, taking
yes,
it seriously and taking action on the wall. We will see a start
yes,
to lower lesser crime happening, and with interior enforcement, some impact made with illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, as I like to call them. Now, in
yes,
California, we have what's called a sanctuary state, and many say that nothing can happen in terms of getting rid of some of these illegals, but I disagree. And I really look forward to seeing how the lawsuit between President Donald Trump or the DOJ in California turns out, because in fact, um, I don't I don't believe that the sanctuary state is legal at all
I
on
don't
any
either, and I
level.
believe that I'm going to see these people prosecuted
Mhm.
for being traitors to our country.
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm. I would
and I
love to
want to see
push for
all of
that.
them. Yes,
Absolutely, because they're standing in direct conflict with the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And as a matter of fact, they're taking the stance that they're in the right. The states have the right, of course, and the authority. They're independent in certain areas, but where it comes to immigration and national security, they don't.
yes,
And in fact, I would say they're giving a safe harbor to enemies of the state, people who are here to cause harm. And that's a big thing. And I stand with you on that, Angie, that I would like to see these individuals who are quote unquote leaders,
yes,
held responsible for their crimes against Americans and against United States citizens. Um, Something has to shake down here. The corruption needs to end, and the truth
yes,
needs to be out, and there need to be consequences for these individuals' actions. I
yes.
agree. I agree. So now, if you could say one thing to the people out there, share with them one thing, Angie, what would it be?
Like about Ruben or
About
about
you
Wallace?
and your experience with Ruben and illegal aliens, and the President Donald Trump, and the message you want to share with America about what you've gone through, and what you want them to take home with them tonight.
Uh, yeah, I would like to say that I love my president. I have faith in him 100%. I know he's doing the right thing and he will prevail. And everything we do, we have to do it for the future of our children and
Mm,
grandchildren, or
mm-hmm,
there will be no future for them.
mm,
Yes, we need to do this for the future of our children and grandchildren so they can enjoy the American life. Because if we lose America, we lost everything.
mm-hmm,
Where are we going to go?
mm-hmm,
There is nowhere.
mm-hmm.
My dad told me a long time ago when I was a little girl that I was born here American and I was American. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not American. This is the greatest country
Yes. Yes, it's
Yeah.
true. It's
And
true.
my
It's
dad was
still
the
true.
same
Your
way. He
dad's a
believed
wise
that.
man.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Well,
And,
you had a great parent right there.
yeah, my dad was great. And my mom, the funny thing is that my mom was born in Texas. So I just found out about 2 years ago that she had 76% Native American.
Really?
So, and that's one thing my dad used to tell me when I was a little girl. He goes, don't let anybody tell you anything. You're not Mexican. If I wanted a Mexican child, I would have taken your mother to Mexico and you would have been born there.
Oh.
You're American. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Oh.
And that's something that's always stuck to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he would even call us his little India, Indians, because my mom was Native American.
Right. Right. Wow. Well, it's important to say and to talk about out loud, bravely, without fear,
Uh-huh.
and because the left, the media has kind of made it this stigma. Don't talk about race. Don't talk about ethnicity. Don't talk about, if you talk about being a, I'm white. I'm proud of being white. I'm proud of being American. I'm an all-American girl. But I can tell you my heritage. My family came here escaping the Holocaust. Some of them came from Scotland to Ireland to England to the United States. I'm going to tell you, I'm an American and I love this country. And many of my family members have served in our military, and I'm just proud to be an American, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that. My own children are Hispanic and Native American Indian, and they're proud Americans, and we just have to embrace who we are as a people and as a country and support one another, and just remember that that's okay. That's good.
Well,
you know?
my husband, I've been married to my husband over 40 years now. Because Ruben would have been 41, so over 40 years I've been married to
Mm.
my husband. My husband's actually from Mexico.
Oh, he
And
is.
he lets me do what I do because he says it's not the same people coming in.
Well,
That
there's
came
nothing
30,
wrong
40
with
years ago.
Mexican people. There's nothing wrong with Mexican people. There's nothing
No.
wrong with, being a Canadian. There's nothing wrong with being from Central America or South Africa or North Africa or anywhere else in this country or any other country for that matter. There's nothing wrong with it. What is wrong is when we have criminal illegals. It doesn't matter what country they're from, because most of these people that come in here are not from Mexico necessarily. They're from Central America.
They're from everywhere.
They're
Yeah.
from everywhere. Illegal aliens are damaging our country and our communities, and it has to stop.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with race.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And your husband should be, proud that he's a Mexican, and he should love, America, and he loves you, and that there's nothing wrong with what we're talking about today.
Nope. There's nothing wrong with it. No.
But I think we have to talk, we have to share this way because, again, the media has made it an evil thing.
Erin, when I first lost Ruben, I met a lady because somebody asked me to go meet her because she had just lost her son.
Mm-hmm.
And her name's Gloria Torres. And we were strong together in the 90s. We actually got to meet President Clinton. It was for the gang violence.
Right.
And
he did a big push on that.
Yeah, and she contacted me. Her daughter contacted me a few weeks ago. My friend Gloria is dying. She actually has stomach cancer, and she wanted to see me. Every time I see her, I just want to cry, because she was so strong, and she was a good speaker when it came to talking about her son, and she encouraged me to do a lot of the community work that I did in the past, and I still do. But, I've been trying to get to the media, but that's why I tell you the treatment I poison. I'm trying to get to the media so they can do something to help her because, her kids can't afford to bury her. So I try to tell them, can you at least put something, for the GoFundMe so the kids won't be, overwhelmed when she does pass, because she's going to go anyway. She's going to go. She's just fighting this stomach cancer, and she's going so fast, and I know her kids can't afford it, but they won't even talk to me. It's like, just do it for her. Don't do anything else.
Wow.
soft, and
Wow.
it just hurts me that the communities like that, they're all bought and paid for by the farmers and ranchers that love all the illegals here.
Wow. And
Yeah,
they won't even talk to you because of the stigma, the kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And this is why we have to talk because, we have to talk about the truth and not be afraid because, more people around us, once they see that it's not evil, that it's okay to talk about these things. I think that we'll find that more people are like us than we realize, and they won't be in fear anymore of what might happen to them if they speak out. Because that's part of it too, is fear that if you say something that you'll lose your job, or that
yeah,
you'll lose your place in the community, or that somehow you're a traitor to your community, and then you'll get pushed back from somebody influential in the community. Fear, they try to intimidate, and that might be where these people are too, that it's like you said, certain areas of the community, they if they side with you, they may be pushed out,
yeah,
that shouldn't, that's not my America. I don't know about you, that's not the America I want to live in. I want
yeah,
the America to be restored to where when I was younger, where we could live and love and really talk about issues, and we didn't have all the problems that we have today. But we have to talk about these things because, unfortunately, the media is not helping us and making and dividing us.
yes,
And really, I think what most people want, Angie, is to have safe communities, to
yes,
to love each other, be able to have strong families, have safe communities, and live a good life. That we have that in common with most people. So what's going on right now is just a symptom of the media and other people polarizing us from one another, and it needs to stop. And I'm so sorry to hear if your friends and her children, um, if there's anything we can do to help her, we would love to help. But it sounds like you've kind of been cut off from them, or from her. But it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because I hear what you're saying. You just want to help her, so her
yeah,
kids don't have to
yeah.
suffer financially. But you know, um, it's tough. It's tough. So now, what do you see is coming next for you and your fight for America?
Yes, we gotta keep fighting. We gotta keep fighting. I believe that it's gonna get better, though. I do believe that our president is doing the best he can.
Okay. And are you going to be speaking? Do you speak around the community, or I mean, are you willing to talk? Because I know there are so many groups that would love to hear from you and hear
Well,
your message.
I actually still I've been going to juvenile hall and to the youth
Oh,
center
good.
and to the prison since 1993.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I don't be quiet about Ruben, and I don't. I
We're,
mean, I tell him that Ezekiel was an illegal, and he listened to me. I've never had a kid disrespect me in all the years that I've spoken at juvenile halls and the youth centers, and it's the adults.
it's the
It's,
adults,
it's
right?
the adults.
Right. I mean, it's their bias. It's their bias. Well, I want to thank you, Angie, for coming on the Aaron Cruz Show and for being such a beacon of hope for us out there, and pushing for the right things for our country and for other families and other mothers. Um, you're such an inspiration, and I want to thank you for your commitment. Um,
Thank you
and
for having me. Thank
oh,
you for listening to me.
oh, of course, of course. We'd love to have you on again and, talk with you and hear more. I want people out there who've heard your story to take to heart. There are real people fighting the fight to retain our liberties and freedoms for future generations. And not
You know,
one senseless death should come ever again. And
yeah.
that President Donald Trump is fighting. What were you going to say, real quick? What were you going to
I
say?
was gonna say real quick. My fight has always been the media because when Donald Trump came to Anaheim and I met Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
um, the media wouldn't even look at me or Ruben. They, I was the first. I was actually against Donald Trump. And they took me out completely.
They did?
They took me out. Yeah, it starts with Sabina Durbin in Anaheim. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like they've been taking me out every time they see me because I'm Latina and they don't want
Probably because it doesn't go with their.
agenda.
It doesn't go with their agenda. It's actually counterproductive to their agenda. And that's shameful. That's shameful because this is the reality is this is a raceless crime. This is a crime that happens to everyone, and you know, and it's happened to you, and you're a real story and a real person, and you were up there, and your voice should have been heard. And I'll tell you what, your voice is heard now. Everybody I know is talking about you and the Angel Moms and the movement you've started for President Donald Trump to help him get the border wall done and to ensure that other families are secure in America. They can, you know what? The media can't stop you. Angel Moms are going like holy wildfire through the country, and impact is being made. And just stand proud and tall and know that you're being a wonderful mother and an example to our youth and other mothers and fathers across the nation. Just don't ever stop your fight for freedom. You got that, Angie?
I won't stop.
And we're right here to stand with you and back you up here at the Erin Cruz Show.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Oh, well, God bless you, and hopefully we'll talk soon, Angie.
All right. Thank you.
All right. God bless you.